I became homeless because of bad health, but I really don't like using the term homeless because I'm a disenfranchised refugee in actuality. So I have heart disease and a numerous other problems. Then I had no medical. I was living in a travel trailer with a van, and the city came in, and city of Tacoma that is, and took possession of my travel trailer and my van with all of my personal items inside of it. Family photos, baby pictures, my computer, all my prospecting equipment, 2 dredges, wetsuit, and gold that I'd worked real hard to get. But they needed it more than I did, so they took it.
I'm from Tacoma, and I've been here for 29 years, and my background history is basically I'm a homemaker. I have 4 kids, but now I'm like out on the street and homeless, living underneath the bridge because basically I have no work because it's like no work around here at all.
My name is Yvonne. I'm 28 years old. I've been homeless for between 4 to 6 years, off and on. I did have my own place a while back, a couple of years ago. When I was 7 months along with my 3rd daughter, I finally got into housing, even though the state was trying to interfere with it and intervene with it and kept threatening to cut off my grant and sent me letters every month saying that they were cutting my grant. I finally did work with about 5 different organizations and got into housing. But I'm on the streets again now.
About December, my dad passed away. So it kind of left me without a home. We had to sell everything. So I became homeless just like the many other 550 individuals, 250 families out here. I became one of them.
I ran away when I was 12 years old from my mom's house because of being beat.
My name's Tera. I'm 20 years old. I was born in Tacoma. I came back here August 26th of last year. I have a 4-month-old son, and I've been living on the streets since April 6th.
So anyways, hi, my name is Patrick Alford. I'm 36 years old, born and raised in Tacoma. I've been on the streets for the last 7 months, 8 months, and we're talking about what it's like to be homeless, what is, really what it's all about. And it's a really difficult question to answer because, there's really a lot of different levels of homelessness. For some people, homelessness is just a state of mind, and for other people, it's schizophrenia, walking around lost, hungry, without family and friends, without a job, without a good job. I think that it's important really to look at all the different aspects of being disenfranchised and being not having a voice in the community. I think a lot of homeless people really they kind of they feel hopeless because they don't have a sense of roots. For whatever reason, they don't have a place to live, whether they got fired from their job or maybe they got hurt and they couldn't pay their mortgage payment, or maybe their spouse passed away and they just gave up and decided to start drinking or using drugs.
The city came in and took my travel trailer and my van, even though I paid rent, the city came and took it. You know, but they didn't know about this one. So, and I sleep in the back of this. I come in after all businesses close. I leave before they open. There's bus stops right there. So I just get up and hop on the bus. De-ass the area. Home sweet home. You know, you got your stack material, raisins, you know, and basically, you know, clean clothes. It doesn't run. Hopefully someday I'll come up with enough to where that I can fix it. But it doesn't run right now. It just sits here. Nobody knows about it, except for the people that own the property. I have their permission to be here.
This is where I stay. And every night around dark, I roll up in here and I go to sleep. This is what I'm relegated to because I have nowhere else to go. I have nowhere to turn to. Can't afford decent housing. Don't make enough on part-time jobs. You know, it's not big, it's not fancy, but it's a place to lay my head. If it rains, I'm dry. But I'm one of the fortunate ones. I've been able to do this. I don't know how long this is going to last. Nobody should be forced to live like this in a boat that's moored on land on a street. But these are the things that happen out here in the city. You know, they fund everything else, but they won't help us get decent housing. And sure enough, there's enough money to do it. But they have their priorities all messed up.
Well, basically, I camp, and I live with like 7 friends underneath the bridge.
I know you're not trying, you're just watching me try, and I know it's not 'cause you're weak. I know you're not choosing, you don't know which way to go, and I won't tell you who to be.
Sleep in a tent off the tracks.
I know it's just New Jersey, state lines don't mean anything, but it still makes me sick and sad. I know it's sort of like how changing clothes can mean something, but I've been wearing the same shirt since I saw you last. 55 plus 32 equals 87, and that plus a silver star is us. And I know you got glitter, I've got glitter on my face, and we're so sparkly I could laugh. But here it's 7 states away, it's 4 months, 2 time zones, state lines be more than you think. State lines be more than you think. State lines be more than you think.
I sleep in a tent out in the bush. I feel a lot more free out in the wilderness than I do cooped up in a shelter that's got 2 different fences that you have to go through to get in. They tell you when you have to go to bed. They tell you when you have to stop smoking cigarettes. And they wake you up at a specific time in the morning and say you've got a half an hour to get up and get out, and you're supposed to find some place to go and be at 6 o'clock in the morning, whether you're mentally and emotionally awake or not. I feel a lot freer out in the open air.
I've opted to begin to live out in the streets and live in a tent because I have more freedom and I have more sense of safety, but only to a degree, because you're always kind of looking over your shoulder. So you live with a group of people, and having a community and a group of people to live together is, it's really a good thing.
Welcome to the jungle. This is Tacoma's jungle, or Heroin Haven they call it. Tent City, here underneath the 26th Street Bridge, would do a lot to stop the violence. A 24-hour manned needle exchange, all for the benefit of the refugees who live back here among the brush underneath the bridge here.
I would really love to see Tacoma City Council come to the point where they could allow us to create a tent city, where we could, where the disenfranchised could have their own security, and we could have our own democracy, and it would be internal, just like Chicago or New York or some of the other big cities. You know, Tacoma's growing and Tacoma's changing, and I would just like to see the opportunity for the homeless and disenfranchised to have a community where they could feel safe.
Every major city in the U.S. has a tent city for the refugees, but yet Tacoma, being the backwater, that little hamlet that it is, still refuses to admit that it even has a G population. Prison, that's where they would be called counselors or whatever. They walk the catwalk up there to keep an eye on us as if we were inmates in a penitentiary. There, with his mailing address, pick up your mail there. Use the telephone. They have showers, washing machines, and they used to be open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all day Mondays and Wednesdays, and a half a day on Fridays because funding was cut, so they dropped a half a day.
There is no women's shelters, hardly at all, for women to go to, because there's only like 2 shelters to take in women, and they don't really have any resources for women that are battered or anything else. So basically, women are stuck on the streets without shelter.
My name is Brian Ubelacher. I'm the building director for Tacoma Rescue Mission New Life Square. We provide the homeless with food, shelter, and clothing, and how we do that is we open our doors at 3 in the afternoon. We provide dinner to the public. Anyone can come. We don't ask questions about their income or anything like that. Dinner served at 5 o'clock to about 6:30. We also have here overnight facilities for homeless males. We can hold 62 males. They can stay here for 30 days. All they need to do to stay here for 30 days is remember to sign up each morning before they leave. If in that 30-day period they get a full-time job, we have an extended stay program where if we think that by extending their stay here they would be able to afford their own apartment and move on into life, then we will extend their stay. Another service we have here is a clothing room that's open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 4:30. Again, we don't ask any questions about income. They can come into the clothing room. All the items are free, so they can get clothing twice a week. We also have free laundry facilities. You don't have to stay here to use our laundry facilities. You just have to sign up. It's a first come, first served basis. We have a calendar that we keep track of everybody, and we even provide the soap powder so they can have clean clothes. We have a medical clinic here on Tuesdays and Thursdays that is usually staffed with 2 nurses, a doctor, and a psychiatrist, it's all free to the homeless, and so on Tuesdays and Thursdays they can also seek medical help. Anyone that spends the night also gets breakfast. So if you're a client here that spend the night, you get dinner and breakfast. The only meal that you won't have is lunch because we're not really a day shelter. There's other services in the community that we don't want to duplicate their services. So we're closed during the day except when the clinic's open. A lot of homeless people won't seek a graveyard job because then there's nowhere to sleep during the day. So we do have a day sleep program for that.
I think the statistics, if I'm right, that most Americans are about 2 paychecks away from being homeless themselves. You knock somebody's knees from underneath them, maybe something happens to them, and bam, you know, they're living where we're living right now. They're using the shelters, and they're using St. Leo's and the King Center and the New Start and Guadalupe House. You know, I have a lot of love for Guadalupe House and for the Catholic Community Service. They have treated me with a lot of compassion and love, and they're out here on the streets every day working with the homeless, loving the homeless, feeding the homeless. The politics that are involved in some of the shelters here in town has changed, and not all for the bad.
I've had stuff stolen from me out of a staff's office, which is pathetic, you know? And nobody's allowed to go back there but staff. So it's pretty pathetic that a staff member, I can't blame, because I don't know for sure that a staff member or whoever happened to potentially just walk in there and waltz in there and grab my shit.
Every organization here that does anything for the disenfranchised, their funds have been drastically cut over a period of time. We tried to clean up the canyon here on Mondays and Tuesdays and give the people a place to eat. That was shut down by the executive director of the mission, Mike Lonergan, because it would cut into his funding.
I end up going to the Friday night feed, which is a feed every week down near the 705 bridge in Tacoma. And this is how I eat. I have to rely on the generosity of a few people that come out every Friday night to help us out.
I don't have medical. It's the reason why I don't have healthcare. So I don't bother going anywhere. I said, fuck everything and just forget about it, because if they can't give me medical because I'm pregnant, then they can just go shove it up their ass, and I really don't give a fuck no more. That's just how I feel. I have ADHD. I have ADD. I'm bipolar, manic depressive. I have PTSD. I have OCD. When I was 9 years old, they clinically diagnosed me as to if I ever did serious hardcore drugs, which I have, I could actually go crazy, and they would put me into a fucking nut house as soon as they possibly could. And they won't give me medical so I can get medication. I'm depressed all the time. I don't look like I'm depressed, but I am. I feel like it all the time, and I try not to make it seem like I'm always one certain way, because I have a persona that I'm trying to keep up with, you know what I'm saying? Healthcare, I can go into the hospital and be fine and dandy with one thing, you know, but then they'll turn around and be like, okay, you're this, that, and the third, and they won't give me the time of day for a prescription. They'd be like, okay, slap me on my wrist, tell me to come home.
We'll just show you just a little sampling here. Here's my new sack of meds. That's just a small sampling of the medications that I take. Just a small sample. But my health is so bad, and I'm being forced to live like this. I don't eat right, so my nutrition is down. They're constantly monitoring my blood, and constantly trying to get me to bring my blood counts up. But I can't living like this. I don't eat right. I'm still having to take medications. I take medications for just about, well, way too many. That's what all I can say. There's just way too many of them. But yet, I'm stuck out here on the street, and nobody seems to care.
Now this is Seroquel. It is an antipsychotic. It, for me, it puts me to sleep. It takes a while to work. It's not like you're going to take it and all of a sudden you pass out. For me, it just makes me a little bit drowsy, but once I lay down and actually get ready to go to sleep, once I close my eyes, it's over. I'm done until the next morning. And if you take too many of these, the next day, you're going to get what you call a Seroquel hangover. I had one. I took 3 one time. In the afternoon, I was sitting in a chair at the Nativity House, and I just went right back to sleep. Whenever I'm ready to go to bed, I'll just... Now, alcohol would intensify it, make it go to sleep a little bit quicker, and you'd sleep a little sounder. Sometimes that's the case. But I don't take them to get fucked up, or, you know, you ain't going to get no psychedelic effect off of it. So here goes.
My mental issues, well, it started out when I was young with my father. He was totally mentally abusive, emotional, a little bit physical. It's led out through my whole life. It's every man I've been with. I broke my nose, you know, my arms, the head games, you know, a lot of mental head games are just, you know, I mean, it's gotten to the point where before I came down here on the streets, I didn't even know I wanted to go out and commit suicide, you know. I had no purpose to live as far as I was concerned. And since I've been out here on the streets, I've learned about, you know, like the mission and having some mental or, you know, some doctors available and everything. Well, that's not going so well right now, but anyway. I'm doing more than I did before I came out on the street. And before, I didn't even care. I didn't even care. My leg, yeah, I did that last night. I went to Neener's Pub to go mud wrestling to make some money, and it was my first time doing it, and my first round in the ring, I tore my ligament. But then I still got back in the ring and to win. Initially, I did win, but now I think my prize money doesn't even cover my hospital bill now. My prize money got ripped off from me. The girl that I wrestled apparently sweet-talked the coordinator guy into giving my money to her, saying that I was her good friend and that she would pay me, and so he did, and I didn't get paid. And so that's kind of it's really messed up.
My name's Kurt Bolton. I work on the streets of Tacoma. I work for an agency here in Tacoma. My primary job is to go out to where the clientele is, under the bridges, out in the woods, wherever the clientele is, and meet them and try to bring them into service. Most of them want back in but do not know how to access and getting back in, do not know how to access services. If they need mental health services, there's limited services for them to begin with, and then there's hard to get them meds because they can't afford them and nobody wants to pay for them. There aren't enough doctors out there working for the homeless and providing services at no cost to them. They have no money. It's impossible to get them into DSHS. Nowadays, their DSHS is cutting way back, and these are the people that they are cutting out. If you apply to go to mental health, they want to know where you live. If you say you're homeless, nobody wants to serve you because you have to have an address. They have a catchment area, and if you don't have an address, you're not in their catchment.
I've done crank, crack, meth. I've done acid, shrooms, LSD, done a lot of drugs. I also have a drinking problem because of the situation I'm in.
Yeah, I've been in a couple bands from Aberdeen, one band Septic Sewer and another band called Attica. Got into drugs really heavy and stuff like that, so pretty much messed all that up, lost all my equipment a couple times over, stuff like that. Robbing, stealing, whatever it took. I mean, that's why I don't have nobody left, pretty much screwed that all up. Drugs were more important at the time, so I thought. Makes you regret it afterwards, that's for sure. You don't think you do at the time, but wait till it's done and you have nobody left to call, then you're gonna regret it. This is my last stop here, so hopefully if they let me in, that is. I haven't even tried to get in yet, so. Commissioned down here for a 6-month drug treatment program. New town, new faces. My hell.
Also in this building, we have a 6-month Christian-based drug and alcohol recovery program where the people live here for 6 months. It's all upstairs. They live in dorm type environment, 4 people to a room. It's a co-ed program. Part of the program is they work here at the mission, helping out in the kitchen, custodial, landscaping, the donation center, stuff like that. That goes along with their programming.
I use some crank and some pot. No, I do not use drugs right now. I've been clean and sober lately for a year and a half now.
My friend thought she'd be all slick and smooth and stick more heroin in the needle than she needed to, and overdosed on heroin. I couldn't call the ambulance or anything because I was a runaway, so I just left. And come to find out, I guess she died. That was in Seattle, which it's a lot easier to be homeless than here.
I'm actually clean and sober. I've been clean and sober since August 21st of last year. And sometimes it gets really difficult. I used to smoke marijuana. I used to smoke it to keep from stressing out, to kind of take a time out from life temporarily. I knew that reality would come back, but I needed a temporary vacation type thing. But getting my daughter back is more important to me than any drugs or any people or anything. I'm not going to let anything stop me from getting her back. I've been propositioned by players and by guys in the bad areas of town. I've been offered the really hardcore drugs. I'm not amused with it. I just tell them no thank you. I'm too close to getting my daughter back. I can't afford to do that right now. And I really can't afford to screw up my life by getting addicted to some stupid crap like that. I don't have time for all that crap, but a lot of people diss on me for it. A lot of people will cut me down for it and shun me for it because they just think I'm some sort of sweet little innocent church girl, and that's not necessarily the case. I'm trying to keep my butt out of trouble. It's hard. On the streets, it's really hard to keep yourself straight on the straight and narrow path. It's hard not to fall into the path that everybody else is taking. But the path that everybody else is taking isn't getting them anywhere. and the path that I'm taking seems to be getting me somewhere. So
As we spoke, there's alcohol and drugs out on the streets. These people take part in the alcohol and drugs. A lot of that is to forget the fact they're on the streets, that they don't have a bathroom that they can use whenever they want. There's nothing available to them in those respects.
I used to be heavy into alcohol, marijuana, stuff like that, but I never got anywhere. Once I quit all of that, because I was taught better.
But that's about a 30-minute turnaround versus a 15-minute.
You probably get some good pills, huh?
Benadryl. Can't get those downtown. They've got a whole like a district, and you have to go outside that district. If I had, can be exuberant at times. Can't hold me for that.
My dad taught me that. Do the right thing, get along with people.
That's it. It's very odd.
You like the home
About a week and a half.
Well, I know, but
I paid for all of it. I'm going to ingest every minuscule.
absolutely.
No smoke. Hard. Thank you. Well, that's very much usable. So, you get a push. You want to hold it flat. Or else, if you tip it, it all falls out. You lost what you're after. It looks like the Brillo's slipping on you, brother. Yes. Yeah.
I used to be heavy into alcohol, marijuana, stuff like that, but I never got anywhere. Once I quit all of that,
that is known as the Great Escape in America.
Out on the streets, it's not necessarily a question of survival of the smartest, it's survival of the fittest. Who can out-muscle the other person? Snitches get murdered sometimes. There has been murders that I've heard of since I've been homeless this time. You always got to worry about the repercussions. You always got to worry about watching your back everywhere you go, 24/7. It's almost like a Metallica sleep with one eye open.
It's scary because sometimes I walk back to where I stay at. I stay down the tracks a little, and I always watch out for my back, and I can't watch from every angle, and so I try not to bother a lot of people and piss a lot of people off because I have a tendency to do that. I run my mouth a lot. I've been beaten up, been in fights, lots of fights. I've been raped 4 times. Wasn't a pleasant feeling because, I don't know, same street, every time I walk down the same street, now I avoid the same street, so I don't put myself in those positions anymore.
Over the last 8 weeks here, we've had a dramatic increase in violent crime among the disenfranchised, perpetrated by citizens. Because nobody in Tacoma, in Pierce County, wants to admit that there's a problem here with the disenfranchised. You would think that it's not against the law to be homeless and to be penniless, but it is here in Tacoma.
Yeah, I've been a battered wife, and I basically got out of my common law marriage and everything, so I was kind of like beat and everything by 2 boyfriends. I got away from both of them now, so it's like I did have domestic things in the past on them, so.
I've been beat, harassed by crackheads, just stupid shit, really. I mean, raped because I wouldn't give it up. That's pretty much it.
I've experienced mental, emotional, physical, everything but sexual.
I was collecting cans. I was doing what I could to get a few extra bucks in my pocket, and I tried to really, trying to make a difference so I don't feel so insecure about not having anything to eat, or just having money is good. Some people that I had let borrow a tent, I let them borrow a tent, and they seemed to be in good spirits about it. And then things just kind of, things happened, and I didn't, I wasn't involved with anything, and then all of a sudden, a few nights later, I was collecting cans. They came up and they were drunk, and they wanted to know who took the tent, and I was like, well, or somebody destroying the tent. I don't know. Well, there was about maybe 5 people altogether. 5 people, but only 3 people did anything. 3 people, they just started hitting me from behind, and I still don't know everything, but I know I got beat up pretty bad. From what witnesses told me, they said that when they hit me from behind, one of them came up and hit me in the back, and I slammed up against there was like a brick wall, and hit my head up in here, and I went back, and after that I don't really remember what happened. I was down on the ground for like a glimpse, after remembering after like a few days, and they kicked me in the ribs. They were just doing all kinds of stuff to me, and I just hit me one after the other, and then some people that were there, they didn't help me out, and they just that was it. The next thing I know, I ended up in the hospital, and St. Joe's wouldn't take me. I filed a case number, and when I went up to court, they said that I couldn't go in. I didn't have my ID on me, and they couldn't prove that they couldn't prove who I was, and they wouldn't let me in. Then I don't know exactly what happened. Nobody's really told me, but as far as I know, they did go to jail, and then they got out, and then the person wanted out of jail bad enough to say, well, if I apologize to him, I'm sure he'll understand, I was doing this, doing that, hanging around with the wrong crowd, but then all of a sudden I just, I was gracious enough to take that as okay, it's an apology, yeah. But then they started doing it again to other people, and it just really got to the point to where it, they think it's a fun thing. I saw him here. It's been like 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago when I saw him, and then again last week. But they didn't do anything. I'm a little insecure. I carry something to a point, but I really, there's not much I can do right now until I get into school. So what I can, collecting cans is making a little bit of money, but that's all I feel like I can do. And when I get to the point to where I can start going to work, I can do that. But my back's messed up a little bit. I'm having a hard time remembering things that I had for lunch, for dinner the day before, or even somebody would come up and ask me, and I'd forget. And I don't know. It doesn't have to be where, you come down and start beating people up for no reason. If you're gonna go drink, go do it somewhere else. Don't do it around here. And I felt really insecure, and that's why I'm doing security work, volunteer security down here to kind of keep the peace down here. It's hard being out there trying to do what I do, but I've made mistakes in my life, and I'm just trying to go the honest, positive way.
Upon beating him with a baseball bat so hard that they broke the bats, they laid his head on the rail here, grabbed up a large boulder, and crushed his head as if it were a pumpkin. Tragic. He was a nice young guy, wasn't a junkie, wasn't an alcoholic, and he was just guilty of being homeless and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tacoma's always been corrupt. It will always be corrupt. There's no way of getting around it other than sweeping the whole mess out and starting over, just scrapping everybody in power now and starting over. But that's not likely to happen because big business here controls government here. Certainly has nothing to do with the people. The people speak, but yet they're never heard, and the city council just continues to do whatever they want. And in front of the new convention center, they're putting up a $8 million tower that does nothing but stand there. How many low-income housing units would $8 million purchase? We have a 7.5 unemployment rate, which is the highest in the nation right at this point. Washington State has the second highest statewide nationwide unemployment rate, and Pierce County, Tacoma has the highest in the state. but they've got money for convention centers, and all these jobs are from out-of-state workers. They're all out-of-state workers working on the convention center, the new little 1.6 mile train that starts nowhere, goes nowhere, $1.5 billion. And it provided not one single job here in America, or here in town, or here in the county, or here in the state. The company that put it in was an out-of-state company. The rail was bought in Belgium. The train cars were made in Italy and shipped from Europe. So actually it created nothing but a big sucking out withdrawal of monies out of the city. The Senate just approved $500 million for the Sound Link in Seattle. That's almost a 16-mile track for $500 million. We got only 1.6 million miles for a little over $1 billion. Why is money being squandered here in Tacoma?
All that money that they're spending on that, just a portion of it could go to the disenfranchised people out here. We'd all be off the street, but they won't do it. They don't want us around. They want us pushed aside. They want to build these convention centers to keep the homeless or disenfranchised away from their little clique, as you would call it.
They've got all this money and they're lining their pockets with it, but yet they haven't two nickels to rub together for America, for jobs. If a person had a job to go to in the morning and a home to come to in the evening, they wouldn't be out here running amok and doing the things that they're doing.
People that are running the cities or here or the county are just lining their pockets. They're saying, well, we're up here, I wonder what the poor people are doing.
They don't have anything for the people. It's all about tourism and bring people in, but nobody ever comes in because it's really not a place a person wants to come to. We have one of the highest crime rates in the nation per capita.
If, for one, if they were trying to really help these homeless people, they would actually have everybody be able to take a shower every day because that's cleanliness. Also, for two, the way they feed people is just, it's totally rude. Not saying that they don't, you know, because they do, but it's just rude the way that they go about it. The city thinks everything's supposed to be fine and dandy. Not everybody is rich. Not everybody has money to live in a house. Not everybody has the opportunity to go get clothes whenever they want to. Some people, I don't even have an ID. I can't go to like stores and buy cigarettes and stuff, you know. I can't go to different places and get clothes with clothing voucher because I don't have ID. I can't, I mean, it's just, I have like maybe 10 different pairs of clothes, you know. I have 5 pairs of underwear, you know. I mean, the city's evidently not helping people out, you know. I mean, I was told, yeah, I can go get an ID, but I don't have a birth certificate. I don't have a social security card because I got robbed. I was robbed of everything I have. I've had a whole bunch of stuff stolen from me, and I think it's wrong. Evidently, the city doesn't care too much about what happens to other people. They just care about how much money they can keep or how much money they can spend. They're cutting everybody's budgets down and shit, and I'm just about to say fuck it and just fucking go somewhere else, you know. I'm tired of living on the streets. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of not being able to see my son. And the city's what took my son away from me. The state is what took my son away from me, and I love my son dearly. He's 4 months and 3 days old.
As I said, it's really hard to be homeless in Tacoma. It's not easy. It's quite difficult. Can't afford a lot because they cut all the funds down, and then they'll bring them back up, and then you got to walk so far to get meals in between hours, and certain places won't feed on the weekend, and it's pretty much bull. You know, I get pretty tired of going up and down the hills, and being pregnant, it's really hard.
Some of them are there by choice. Most of them are there because of circumstances that have forced them out of society as a whole. Pierce County, we're lucky enough that there's plenty of food for everybody, but like I say, you can't get them into housing, you can't get them into any other kind of secondary services. They're not even seen for most parts. I mean, here in Tacoma, we've shoved them off to the edges of the town so that they're not seen versus where they were just a couple years ago, right smack in the middle of town. Now they're off on the edge and hidden spots. Because they, in the city's opinion, it's a black mark on the city that these people exist and they're not getting the things that they need. And then, like I say, there's resources to give them what they need, just aren't quite there. We have PhDs, we have people with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees. They're all out on the street for one reason or another because they couldn't make it where they were at. They lost their job. I mean, we're all one paycheck away from being there, even me. Just one paycheck. If I were to lose my job today, it wouldn't take but 1 month for me to have no money in my bank account. It's a very sad commentary on the state of the nation.
Getting my daughter back is more important to me than any drugs or any people or anything.
This is to confirm that Hank Montgomery has been ordained as a minister of the Universal Life Church, Modesto, California. Date of ordination, 6/14/2003.
I have nowhere to turn to. Can't afford decent housing. Don't make enough on part-time jobs.
I mean, it's hard being out there trying to do what I do, you know, but I mean, I've made mistakes in my life and I'm just trying to go the honest, positive way.
And I have more sense of safety, but only to a degree, because you're always kind of looking over your shoulder.
I'm tired of living on the streets. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of not being able to see my son. And the city's what took my son away from me. The state is what took my son away from me. And I love my son dearly. He's 4 months and 3 days old.